provinces.
On or before their scheduled trip for convenient seating and to avoid crowding near departure gates.
Kasi po may trabaho, hindi makaalis-alis. Ngayon lang po nagkaroon ng time na makapakasyon. Pag ngayon ka lang gagawa ng ticket, mahirap, puno na. Buti mayroon pa ako nakuwang para tabako na ticket. Paubos na
Fully book na po, hanggang bukas.
Pwede ba makapag-book?
Depende po sa mga pasaherong gustong magbaka sakali.
Pero wala kasigurado.
Wala kasigurado.
Philippine National Police officials and Transportation Secretary Art Tugade inspected the terminal this afternoon.
Today they expect mga 120, 125,000. Ano ang ibig sabihin nun? Ginagamit, pinaniniwalaan ng mga tao.
As of 5 p.m., some 102,000 passengers have gone through the bus terminal, but they keep on coming, most just coming off work, hoping to book tickets home. And that's the latest here at the PITX. Back to you, Pia.
Standing ahead there reporting. Well, unlike in bus terminals, fewer people are booking last-minute flights to the provinces or out of the country. Paige Javier is at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in Pasay City to give us an update. Paige, how are things there hours before the Holy Week break?
Well, Pia, airport authorities expect a lower number of passengers catching a flight home this Holy Wednesday. And that's exactly the scenario we're seeing here at NAIA Terminal 3. There are no longer long lines outside the terminal, and waiting areas are not as packed compared to Holy Monday and Tuesday. Some people here are actually those catching a flight overseas who are overseas workers and are bound for international destinations. You can still see lines, however, at the check-in counters. Data from the MIAA shows domestic passenger volume is going down from a peak last Saturday. They say this is normal based on their experience pre-pandemic times. The expected influx of passengers will be on Easter Sunday as people return home. Majority of local flights have early schedules or have been moved to other terminals. There are also no canceled flights or delays reported so far. As I mentioned earlier, the passengers arriving now are mostly overseas workers or those heading abroad for other reasons. Back to you, Pia.
Paige, did authorities also inspect the NAIA, and what did they say?
Yes, Pia, there were two surprise inspections here at the NAIA Terminal 3 earlier today. First was Transport Chief Art Tugade. He went here earlier this morning and he identified several problems after making the rounds in the terminal. First, he hopes that airport authorities could add more personnel at the entry points and lessen the number of choke points that are causing the long lines. And just a few minutes ago, before we went live at the newscast, PNP Chief Leonardo Carlos also made the rounds in Terminal 3. He was checking the security situation situation here on Holy Wednesday. Airport authorities earlier said they are prepared for the major influx of passengers this Holy Week. Among the measures in place are tight security with guards going around and assistance desks attending to passenger concerns. Pia.
Paige Javier there reporting live from Naiya in Pasay City. Well, no operations for some railway lines beginning today to give way to their yearly maintenance activities. For MRT3 authorities, this week is also a time to hold training on crisis response. Our Caroline Bonkin reports.
The MRT3 management did a simulation of the train attack in Tokyo, Japan last October to check how they would respond to this kind of situation. A man pretended to stab passengers and started a fire on the train. The police, MMDA, Red Cross, Coast Guard, BFP, and the MRT Safety and Security Unit responded. They will assess how the simulation went to check what else needs improvement. But MRT OIC General Manager Michael Capati says passengers also need to be alert. In case of emergency, they need to push the emergency button thrice to signal the driver that there's a problem inside the train. That's the black button near each exit. Passengers then have to wait for instructions from the driver.
Dapat aware yung ating mga pasahero na minsan kasi may nangyayari sa loob ng train na hindi alam ng driver lalo na malaki. Lumayo na kagad yung mga pasahero doon sa mismong sa senaryo para malibit yung at wag mataranta. Kasi baka mamaya yung paglayo mo, nagbungguan na kayo, may mga nadapa na, mas maraming nai-injure doon sa hindi sa sitwasyon kundi yung sa aftermath ng sitwasyon.
Capati says the first line of defense are the scanners where contraband such as grenades, guns, and knives are confiscated before entry. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
LRT2 also halted operations today, and beginning tomorrow, the brakes are on for LRT1 and PNR for maintenance activities as well. Commuters can expect PNR operations to resume by Easter Sunday. Other train lines will follow on Monday, April 18th. Disaster response officials say 43 people died because of Agaton. 8 were injured, 7 remain missing. Most of the casualties are from a landslide in Baybay City in Leyte. NDRRMC spokesman Mark Timbal says the reported casualties are still being validated. More than 34,000 individuals had to evacuate. Over 21 million pesos worth of humanitarian aid has been provided to evacuees. Weather Bureau Pag-asa says some parts of the country will continue to experience moderate to heavy rains until tomorrow.
May mga areas din po na flooded pa rin. Kaya po iba yung pag-iingat po ang ating pinapaalala sa mga kababayan natin. Kayo po ay magpatuloy na sumunod at makipag-ugnayan sa ating mga local government units para sa mga gawaing pangkaligtasan.
Agaton, the first storm to wreak havoc in the country this year, weakened into a low-pressure area this morning, which eventually dissipated. Pag-asa says there will be scattered rain showers in Quezon, the Bicol region, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, and the Visayas. Well, let's again check the situation in Baybay City in Leyte. Authorities there saying 62 people have died and scores are still missing, most of them residents of Barangay Cantagnos, ground zero of Agaton's onslaught this weekend. Our Rex Limita joins us live. Rex, what do you see?
Well, we reached Barangay Cantagnos here in Baybay City a while ago, just a few hundred meters away from where I am standing right now, and what we saw was utter devastation. It was once a community of hundreds of residents, but when we arrived, the silence was deafening. There was almost nobody in the place when we arrived except for a few people from nearby villages and some heavy equipment digging through mud that fell from the mountain, looking for any sign of life. Rescuers are racing against time. As the hours pass by, their chances of finding survivors are getting bleak.
Kahapon nagpalipad kami ng mga drone doon para malaman kung may mga tao pang, kung marinig nila yung drone, makakaway, makita kung meron pang naghihintay. So ngayon lang kasi talaga tumigil yung ulan, kaya ngayon makakapasok yung mga responders natin na makita rin nila Lalo-lalo na doon sa mga perimeter. Baka mapasok nila ngayon.
Baybay City Mayor Boying Cari says 90% of the barangay was flattened by the landslide which struck over the weekend. A probe into what may have led to the tragedy is underway.
Itong barangay Cantagnos kasi, although nasa tabi siya ng river, meron siyang malaking rice field sa likod. Malawak yung rice field nila, saka malayo pa yung buka. Putik yung umabot sa kanila.
Survivors have already been evacuated. It's unclear if they will still be allowed to return to Barangay Cantagnos. Some of those who witnessed the disaster spoke to CNN Philippines.
Nung pirmerong puto na may mga nagkaanod ng mga kabinet sa ilog. Ngayon, nagpuntahan na ang mga tao para mag-inspeksyon sa ilang mga pamilya. Ngayon kay sumigun pangalawang beses pagputok, mga mga lupa naman ang dami tsaka tubig. Kaya yung ibang tao na nadaganan na ng mga puno kasi lahat ng mga puno nangatumba na.
One of their urgent needs now is drinking water. The mayor says the city's water system broke during the floods and it will take weeks before water supply is fully restored. Some residents in the downtown have no choice but to line up for water rations.
Wala na kasi kaming magagamit para pangsaing, yung panghugas. Lang kami sa yung mga deep well kasi ginagamit lang din namin yung panghugas lang.
Para sa bigo, yung pagluto namin, tsaka yung sa bahay, gamit sa bahay, panglinis.
Aside from water, evacuees also need food packs, clothing, blankets, and hygiene kits. Now, time is of the essence, and people here are also hoping that the weather will continue to improve. Back to you, Pia.
Stay safe over there. Rex Remito reporting live from Baybay City in Leyte. Well, still in Leyte, you're looking at footage showing the moment a landslide hit Barangay Pilar in the town of Abuyog, which is just an hour away from Baybay City. Authorities say they have recovered at least 7 bodies of landslide victims from Barangay Pilar and 2 other villages. 128 other people were injured. Now, over in Western Visayas, nearly the entire province of Capiz is still submerged in floodwaters. Governor Nonoy Contreras made an aerial inspection earlier today to assess the damage to infrastructure and agriculture from Agaton. Rescue operations are underway for stranded residents. Coming up on Newsnight, more reports of banking fraud. We'll look into one case where the victim allegedly lost almost 100,000 pesos. And in New York, a manhunt is underway after a mass shooting in a crowded subway train. Our consulate also has some advice for Filipinos in the state. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines.
Exodo, Kabanata 18, versikulo 21. Ngunit pumili ka ng mga taong may kakayahan, may takot sa Diyos, mapagkakatiwalaan, at di masusuhulan. Gawin mo silang tagapangasiwa sa libo-libo, daan-daan, 50-50, at 10-10. Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Breaking news at this hour, the Food and Drug Administration has approved a second booster dose for senior citizens, the immunocompromised, and frontline healthcare workers. The health department says the additional dose will be given at least 4 months after the first booster shot. Officials are now drafting guidelines for implementation. The latest data show more than 66 million Filipinos have been fully vaccinated, but only 12.4 million have been boosted. This is a developing story. We will bring you more information as soon as they become available. Agriculture Secretary William Dar tells CNN Philippines they have been investigating a, quote, good number of their officials over reports they are allegedly involved in smuggling. Dar says the comprehensive investigation has been going on since last year. He refused to disclose other details since those tagged have the right to due process.
Until we are through with our investigation and we are clear that may na ginawang masama or collaboration sa mga smugglers, we will bring this to the open in due time. Wala pong powers to dismiss. I will also recommend this to the President kung dismissal. Depende dun sa gravity ng involvement.
In yesterday's hearing, Senate President Tito Soto named 4 alleged smugglers of agricultural products, adding that, according to whistleblower, DA and customs officials are protecting suspects. Dar says the names did not come up in their investigation, but confirmed that one of them, alleged onion queen Leah Cruz, is a known importer. Senator Cynthia Villar said Cruz was investigated before.
I just want to manifest na noong 2014, nasa listahan na namin yung si Leah Cruz. And blacklist na yan noong 2014 kasi I was chairman of agriculture since 2013. Lumabas na yan sa investigation namin. So parang wala pa lang nangyari na blacklist yan kasi hanggang ngayon lumalabas pa rin yung Leah Cruz about onion.
Sa mga planters din at importer, alam po yun. Pero kung nang-investigan na previously, bakit hindi inahabla?
After his absence in the last 3 hearings and calls for him to resign, Dar apologized and said he serves at the pleasure of the president. He added the agency has so far confiscated 800 million pesos worth of smuggled vegetables from China. Well, last year, hundreds of Banco de Oro account owners fell victim to online banking fraud. Now, customers of another bank are complaining about losing thousands of pesos to scammers. Tristan Odalo reports.
20 minutes, that's how long it took for the savings of Leah, not her real name, to disappear from her bank account last March. The nightmare started after she received a call from an alleged bank employee.
Maingat pa ako na like tinanong ko ano yung account number ko, tinanong ko anong name, address. Alam nila mismo kung kailan ako nag-open ng bank. Kaya syempre, niwala ako. Parang alam na nila yung buong data ko eh.
When she felt that something was not right with the call, she immediately tried to stop the transaction.
Tumatawag na ako mismo sa security bank. Unfortunately, sobrang tagal bago nila sinagot yung tawag ko. Minimum yung 30 minutes.
Leah lost almost 100,000 pesos.
Pinagtrabahuhan ko yan for ilang years. Tapos, gagamitin ko siyang pang tuition. Tapos, nawala lang din bigla.
She claims more people are coming out after falling prey to online scams.
Yung isang babae, manganganak siya, nawalan sila ng malaking amount din. Yung isa naman, may anak siyang may kidney disease. Meron kaming 2 na ikakasal sana. Ipon nilang magnobya. Tapos nawala lang din lahat ng ipon nila.
Leia said that after a series of investigations, the bank refused to return her money.
Dapat secured kami sa pera na nakalagay sa bangko namin. Pero bakit alam ng ibang tao yung account numbers namin? Bakit alam nila kung kailan kami nagbabangko? Bakit alam nila yung home address?
In a statement sent to CNN, Philippine Security Bank said they thoroughly investigate reports of fraud. They said they have also listed down initiatives to protect customers, including releasing advisories in all of their platforms. The statement added that they have also invested in new technologies to boost their cybersecurity. The bank also said they are working with banking organizations to spread awareness about cybercrimes. More bank customers are falling to the same modus. Last December, close to 700 BDO bank account owners complained that they had been victims of online fraud. In 2021, the Bankers Association of the Philippines said an estimated 1 billion pesos were lost to online bank schemes. In 2020, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reported that 13% of 20,000 consumer complaints were due to unauthorized and fraudulent transactions. Tristan Udalo, CNN Philippines.
The BSP says it will look into the refund process and the possible data breach in banks. It also advises customers to be more vigilant. An official at the Commission on Elections denies there is infighting as fellow commissioners take opposing to exempt certain cases from the gun ban and to place an area under COMELEC control. In solidarity to Amy Ferolino and Marlon Casquejo wore black in today's NBank meeting.
Wala pong mga kuro na infighting, may na-divided na ang commission, hindi po totoo yun. We deferred consideration of the resignation of Commissioner Ingting out of respect sa kanya. Walang sinasabi nila, yung mga may discussion, I can honestly tell you with God as my witness, walang vehement objection, reactions, or whatever. Napaka-solemn ng aming discussion doon at naging maayos yung aming talakayan patungkol sa issue na yon.
The other COMELEC officials who voted in favor of the chairman's special powers include Pangarungan himself, as well as new commissioners George Garcia, Amy Neri, and Ray Bulay. On to the presidential candidates, 60 retired officials of the Philippine National Police and its forerunner, the Philippine Constitution, which is through education and rehabilitation. The retired police officers also holding on to Robredo's commitment to strengthen the criminal justice system and to beef up the police force. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno refusing to back out of the presidential race to give way to Robredo. Moreno dismissed calls from former supporters to make the, quote, supreme sacrifice and dared unnamed rivals to do it instead.
Ang pinakamaganda, siguro, yung hindi na nag-grow na kandidato dahil they're talking to their own echo chamber should also do the same. Supreme sacrifice. But my supreme sacrifice is here today. This is the sacrifice. Despite of misimpression, misperception, or perception or impression that the other side of the river is doing and creating in your eyes, in your mind, this is the sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice myself to address yung problema ng taong bayan.
Senator Manny Pacquiao downplayed the One Cebu party's endorsement of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Pacquiao said he is confident of getting the support of Visayans because he speaks their language.
Hindi ko makuha yung suporta ng mga halos incumbent ng mga Bisaya, yung mga nakaupo, kahit sa buong Pilipinas. Pero ang suporta ng majority ng suporta ng mga mahihirap nasa akin.
Labor leader Caliodi de Guzman calling on the Education Department to bring back history classes to the curriculum after Pinoy Big Brother housemates called the Gomburza Brothers Majoha. The labor leader, or the Gomburza priests. The labor leader says the seemingly small error reflects how vulnerable the youth is to historical revisionism and fake news. In 2014, DepEd removed Philippine history from the grades 7 and 8 curriculum and replaced it with Asian studies. 3 more candidates will join the 11th CNN Philippine Senatorial Forum. Watch them side by side as they bear their platforms and stand on issues. That's on Sunday, April 17 at 7 in the evening with senior correspondent and anchor Ruth Cabal only here on CNN Philippines. News overseas now. The Philippine Consulate General reminds Filipinos in New York to take extreme caution as the search for the suspect in the subway shooting incident in Brooklyn continues. New York police have identified one person of interest, Wisconsin resident Frank James. These are pictures of his last known address in Milwaukee. James' ties to New York are unclear. The suspect still at large opened fire at the 36th Street subway station on Tuesday, hitting at least 10 people. Several others were hurt in the chaos that followed. Straight ahead on Newsnight, updates on the thrilling Game 4 of the PBA Governors Cup Finals. Plus, Netflix drops a new trailer for Stranger Things Season 4. We'll give you a peek after the break.
Kung kinaya ni Heidelin, kaya nyo rin.
Welcome back. A thrilling Game 4 of the PBA Finals is underway with the Meralco Bolts fighting to earn their third win against Barangay Ginebra. So far, the teams are tied at 19 points. Oh, okay. Let's correct that now. It's 19-21. Ginebra, 21 points in the lead in the first quarter. If the Bolts win, though, they only need one more victory to bag the Governor's Cup title, which would be their first PBA title. But Ginebra's already captured wins of its own, with Scotty Thompson nabbing Best Player of the Conference and Justin Brownlee being named Best Import. Stay tuned to our social media platforms for more updates. On the small screen, a lot more has been revealed about season 4 of Netflix sci-fi hit Stranger Things. In the newly released trailer, we catch sight of Eleven supposedly losing her powers and a mysterious villain from the Upside Down. Take a look.
Lost.
Stranger Things 4 comes out in 2 parts. Volume 1 premieres May 27th. Volume 2 is out on July 1st. And that is it for now. Before we go, we'd like to thank our viewers. CNN Philippines once again named the most trusted media outlet in Publicus Asia's latest survey. Stay safe, have a blessed Holy Week, and see you on Monday. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Senator, thanks for staying. Are you there? Okay, I don't think we have Senator Marcos on air. While we try to get him, I still wanted to actually interview the senator on various issues. We left it at what he called what he would be is a unifying president, talking really about the COVID-19 response of government, sabi nga niya, unifying, synchronizing all sectors. And this begins with the vaccination of the public, which really is all about herd immunity. So I am wondering if we still have the senator. We're waiting for that. So we had an interview with Senator Marcos earlier from 9 to 9:30 on television. Now we are live on Facebook. So a lot of questions really, what are his plans? Wala pang Vice President, si Senator Bongbong Marcos. Sinasabi nga niya, everything is evolving. It is still volatile for him right now. And as he mentioned a while ago, he was as surprised as political observers were, because the plan initially was really to get President Rodrigo Duterte as his vice presidential running mate. Let's remember, former Senator Bongbong Marcos filed his certificate of candidacy yesterday. And dun niya po inamin, he said to one of the reporters, I will be candid with you, the plan was really to get President Duterte as his vice presidential candidate. Is the senator back? Okay, andyan na po si Senator Bongbong Marcos. Senator, as I mentioned a while ago, thanks for staying. You're live, sir. Okay, hintayin pa rin natin. I think the senator is still logging in. Okay, so while our team is still talking to former Senator Bongbong Marcos, ang sabi din niya po, they're open to any possibility right now to field a vice presidential candidate. All right, he's back on air. Senator, we are live on Facebook. We just have about 5 to 10 minutes, and I thank you for staying, sir.
Sure.
Okay, Senator, so yung sinasabi niyo pong unifying leadership, let's be siguro very candid about this also. I understand what you're saying. Definitely, COVID will still be with us. Sabi nga ng gobyerno, 1 to 2 more years. But when you said unifying president, a lot of people speculated on the other meaning of that. Meaning, how will you unify the country in terms of, you know, a pro-Marcos, an anti-Marcos, a pro-Duterte, an anti-Duterte? Is that top of mind for you also to be able to unify? No, okay.
No. To be able to unify is is certainly the most critical thing that we have to achieve. What is not top of mind the political color of the person that the person or the group that we are dealing with. And I really believe that if you present the people, no matter what their political color might be, if you present a good plan and you present the capability, you have the capability to make the bureaucracy work for you, to do the things that need to be done by including the coordination with the private sector, including the coordination with individuals, with local governments, etc. If you present a plan for them to all follow, that it can be seen to be effective, then that will be the unifying factor. It is not I'm not talking about unifying political segments. I'm unifying the people, unifying our organs of government, unifying all the different sectors of our society and of our economy to work together. Right now, as I said, there are the different elements are working at cross purposes. Minsan, one side, basically, the private sector is complaining about government is complaining about the private sector, etc., etc. Now, if we could bring that all together, we would certainly, I think, do a better job of managing the COVID, especially with the new Delta variant, with the acquisition of many more vaccines and the big and a big rollout of vaccination to all the different areas. That is what I mean when I say unify. It is not a political unification. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to unify our efforts against COVID. The goal here is to unify our efforts to reignite and revitalize the economy. That's what I meant by unifying.
All right, you made that very clear, Senator. And on the same topic, because you're looking into COVID still present next year, if you win, ano hong plano nyo? I just want to go specifics already because we only have 5 minutes left. What is your plan for the medical frontliners? You obviously certainly know what's been happening. Humihingi sila ng break. Maalis po yung ating mga medical frontliners. How do you plan to fix that?
Well, the first, when you look at the COVID situation everywhere in the world, it really boils down to vaccines. That's the most critical, fundamental part. That the acquisition, the whatever arrangements that we can make G2G, private, basta makapagpasok tayo ng vaccine. And then the next part is, as you mentioned, we have to take care of our frontliners. And when nagbago ng definition ng frontliner, dati sinasabi natin yung frontliner, yung mga nasa ospital, yung mga nurse, yung mga medtech, yung mga basta nagtatrabaho sa ospital, mga doktor, even the people who clean, etc. Now the frontliners are changing because nagbubukas na tayo ng ekonomiya. Number one, for example, I would say that now we should define teachers, especially those who are in the pilot program for face-to-face, that they should be considered frontliners and they should be prioritized for the vaccine. That's the same for our health workers. But our health workers, it's become a critical situation because the DOH says the shortfall in nurses here in the Philippines, especially in the pandemic, is 100,000 nurses. The Private Hospital Association said 40% of their nurses have left nursing because they can no longer support their families by nursing. And that puts us in a very, very critical position, especially now that the Delta variant is shooting up. This is an example of us working at cross purposes. Ang kailangan natin ang ating serbisyo ng ating mga nurse, pero hindi natin sila nabibigyan ng yung sapat na benepisyo, yung mga benepisyo na ipinangako sa batas. So that's immediately a perfect example of what I say working at cross purposes. It doesn't achieve the stated goal and just causes this kind of problem where nurses are leaving. We lack 100,000 nurses, yet we continue to export nurses. So, again, working at cross purposes. So these are the things that I am trying to make sense of. And we have to bring together to unify, by unifying our efforts so that we can open the economy, get back to work, and some kind of normalcy in our lives again.
I'm going to really call this fast talk because it needs to be fast. So what is your plan doon po? Sabihin na, just particularly sa mga nurses, how do you prevent them from leaving the country? Have you thought about that? Is there a plan for them that you already have in mind?
Well, the thing is, let's start with the SRA, the specialist allowance or the hazard pay of the nurses. That make sure that they get all of that. Then, and again, if we beyond that, even the vaccinations, we still prioritize them when we have booster, when it's time for shots. Unahin natin sila. So it's just a question of prioritizing, valuing their and recognizing the work that they do, and supporting them in that regard, because we think of them as nurses, we think of them as doctors, we think of them as technicians, but they are also the breadwinners of their family. And we cannot expect them to come to work and still we will be worried because they cannot feed their own families. So that's the first step. You support economically, financially the frontliners so that they are there. They are working in the quarantine areas. They're working in the hospitals. Everything that we can do to support stay. It's a labor market that we are competing in. Of course, they go abroad because ang laki ng kinikita nila sa natanggap sila doon. Kailangan natin, but of course, a Filipino would rather work at home. So they will take a less pay, pero talagang sapat para doon sa kanilang pangangailangan. And they will stay at home and they will work here in the Philippines.
Senator, yes or no, if you can, please, will you pursue the drug war of President Rodrigo Duterte with the same vigor, the same aggressiveness?
Yes, but perhaps in a different way. We have seen that the drug war has been conducted purely on the enforcement side. I think that we should also focus on the prevention side, an educational process where we're teaching our young children that that doing drugs is bad, although the health implications, the implications to their lives, etc. So tapos yung pag-rehab, pagandahin naman natin ang mga rehab center natin because there are many rehab centers, there's some rehab centers, but they're not really functioning properly with the most modern techniques. Kaya paglabas na rehabilitate, 6 na buwan, dire-diretso, bibili ka agad ng drugs sa, bago umuwi, bibili na agad ng drugs. So, kailangan natin so I think my approach would be the enforcement we have seen can only take you so far, the enforcement side of the drug problem. You have to also look at the prevention side and the curing side.
Do you think there were human rights violations in the president's war on drugs?
Well, they're investigating it, and we will see what the results of that investigation are. It is especially in the beginning of his term. It was really an internecine war amongst the drug dealers, drug lords. But I think that has slowed down, and now we're actually dealing with the bigwigs, those who are really responsible for the supply of drugs being brought into the Philippines.
Senator, last question: will you allow ICC investigators to come into the country if you win as president?
Well, we are not signatory to the Rome agreements anymore. We withdrew. So yeah, they can come, they can be tourists and look at the Philippines. But I don't know what they expect that the government will do beyond that, because again, we don't recognize that investigation, and we have withdrawn as a signatory.
That's right.
We will behave as a non-signatory. If they want to come to the country, we are welcome. Everybody is welcome to the Philippines, but as a visitor.
Yeah, but we did withdraw. However, this covers the years that we were still part of the Rome Statute, hindi ho ba? So that still covers it. There's already a ruling on that. So the question is, yung pong pag-examine nila, pag-investigate nila nung sinasabing crimes against humanity during those times, they may need to come here. The question is, will you allow them and open possibly the records that they may need if you become president?
That clearly, that is dependent on how they come. What do they come as? Are they coming to investigate all the policemen? They're going to make all of these allegations against people that we have no idea about, and then they want us to help them to bring accusations against our Filipino people, workers in government. Pambira naman siguro yun. I don't think that's right.
So
But
the answer
once
is
again,
no.
come to the Philippines. Everyone is welcome to come to the Philippines, but you will understand that we will have to examine very clearly what your intention is on your coming here, and what the government's place is in those intentions that they have when they come to the Philippines.
Okay, former Senator Bongbong Marcos, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras and take care of yourself.
Thank you again, Pinky. Ingat lang at maraming salamat din. Magandang umaga po.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.